Welcome to The Women We Know. I'm your host, Stacey Ferguson, and this podcast is all about real conversations with the women in our lives who have stories worth sharing. Not the polished highlight reels, but the real moments, the challenges, the turning points, the courage, the growth, and the wisdom that comes from living a full life. My hope is that somewhere in these conversations, you'll hear something that reminds you that you're not alone and that the women around us are far more extraordinary than we sometimes realise. So wherever you are listening from, settle in, because these are the stories of the women we know. Welcome back to The Women We Know. Today's conversation is with someone I think many women will see a little piece of themselves in. She is a mum of four. She's raising a family on a sheep and cattle property in central Western Queensland. She's juggling business, community, study, and all the beautiful things and chaos that comes with rural life. But what I love most about Kerryn is that whenever I think of her, I don't think of the things that she does. I think of the way that she shows up for people. She is someone who believes no woman should ever feel alone, that kindness matters, and that we all need people around us who remind us we don't have to carry everything by ourselves. Today, we're talking about motherhood, finding your village, navigating the seasons that almost break us, trusting your instincts, and what happens when life doesn't look like anything you imagined. But somehow it becomes exactly where you're meant to be. So grab a cuppa, settle in. Kerryn Geltch, welcome to The Women We Know.
Oh, thanks, Stace. Thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to get into this conversation. But before we do get into all of that, I do have to start the way I always do. And anyone who knows me knows I love a good karaoke moment. So I have to ask, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Stace, and you know I'm not a huge karaoke fan unless I'm a few tequilas in, but it has to be The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. I didn't even have to think. That was just my answer straight away.
Yeah, I love that. And it's such a classic choice too.
Yep.
I feel like you'd absolutely own the microphone or at least have the whole room joining in, singing by the first line.
Yes, definitely. Yep, for sure.
I really love starting each episode like that because I feel like it's just a simple way to remember that before we get into all the roles that we carry, being a mum, a wife, a business owner, or an employee, a worker, or a community member, there's just us, like a woman underneath it all. So I think it's just a nice reminder, and it also kind of helps to just sink in and just be us,
Yes, and I love that. I love that, Stace.
I am really excited to get in and have a chat with you just because of all the different chapters that you've already lived in your young life already, Kerryn. So I'm really curious, if you look at your life right now, how would you describe the season that you're in?
Oh, God, Stace. So I'm really sad that my kids are sort of out of that baby stage now, but I'm just so excited about this next chapter of where we're at. So our youngest has just started prep this year, so I've got no one at home for the first time in a long time. And our eldest is in her second year of boarding school. So I've sort of, got a huge range of ages at the moment, but I'm just so excited for what this next chapter is going to bring for us all. And, very exciting.
Yeah, it feels like two completely different emotions happening at the same time. People kind of talk about the different stages of motherhood. They often talk about the newborn years and the sleepless nights and the nappies and, the survival mode. But then no one kind of prepares us for the moment that you're suddenly like, oh my God, they're not little anymore.
Yes, and you really do feel caught off guard when they get to that stage because those early years, they fly by. They might not feel like it at the time because you have these little kids and it's so hard to go anywhere and it's challenging. And then all of a sudden, they're not that age anymore. And there's like a whole new range of challenges, like a teenage daughter. And it's different, but I guess it's all part of it. But it really does catch you off guard. So
Yeah. And all the different emotions that you feel, like I said, like you're proud. It's a sign that they're growing up and becoming independent. And then there's just that part of you and you're like, hang on, you were just little yesterday.
And that's exactly what it feels like. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like motherhood is just full of those moments where you're celebrating them growing and then you're quietly sad about the version of them that they used to be, kind of thing.
Yes, and it's as if they don't really need you as much anymore. They're just so much more. Even our 5-year-old is so independent now. And yeah, it just, especially with our eldest going to boarding school, she was 12. Like, so we really only had her at home for 12 years. It doesn't feel like anything at all. It just wish you could have more time. But yeah, you can't stop time, obviously. So yeah.
No, and I think we're told when they're in the newborn or the little stages to soak it all up because it's gone in a blink of an eye. But I think often we forget to soak up the school drop-offs or the random conversations that you have in the car or in the kitchen, and getting to see all their personalities start to shine through.
Yes, you really do, because there's so much going on at that age, and you just you just get swept up in it all, and time does fly.
Yeah, yeah. Kerryn, I'd love to know what parts of motherhood now feel easier, or what are you loving now that they're a little bit older?
Oh, I'm just really loving, like, they all have their own personalities, and we're doing our very best to raise them to be resilient and respectful and kind, and they're going to be the adults of the future. So we're trying our best just to raise them the right way and teach them kindness. And they're all so different, like, just they're all brought up the same way, but they do have very different personalities. And that's what I'm loving, just having the conversations with them about their day. Even Emily, I speak to her every day, every night, just to see how her day was. And I love hearing about it. All of them, actually. Yeah, just having those conversations with them now, and just being there as their support person and making them feel safe and loved all of the time, no matter where they are. They're still, even Emmy's still a child. It's hard being away from her, but it's just keeping the communication open as possible. And yeah, it is really a beautiful time in our lives to have them all at this age, have them close. And yeah, it's a really great time, definitely.
Yeah. And I love, like you said, just seeing all their personalities start to shine through. And like you said, they're all raised in the same house, and you think that you're raising them the same, but they're all just their own person, and getting to know the people that they're becoming. And I just love being able to see the different people shine through. Even though they are raised in the same house, they get to be individuals, and I love that so much.
Definitely, it's a beautiful thing to see and be a part of. Definitely.
Yeah. And what parts do you think are harder now than what you would expect?
Oh, definitely this boarding school phase is a lot harder than what I thought. And we prepared Emily as much as we possibly could, but the homesickness was just nothing I'd prepared myself for. Like, I knew she would have been homesick, but she was so keen to go to boarding school, and we explained to her why she was going. But that was the one thing that I just wasn't prepared for. If she's upset in the morning, well, that just made me upset then for the rest of the day, worrying about her, until I spoke to her in the afternoon. And most afternoons when I did speak to her, she'd had a great day. She just had, her homesick moments were always in the mornings before she went to school. And I'm safe to say it's gotten better, but that first year was just, I just wasn't ready for that homesickness from her. And I can understand why. Like, she's an outdoors kid. She loves the bush, but she's adapted, and she's okay now. But yeah, it was a huge challenge. Just, I guess, getting on with my day when I know that she's upset in the morning and I'm so far away from her that you can't really do anything, and just other than just talk her through it. Definitely a challenge. And we have another one going away next year, so I feel as though I might be a bit more prepared this time. That first one went, it's just a bit hard.
Yeah, but I feel like no matter how prepared you are, but it still hits you, like a ton of bricks. And like you said, 9 times out of 10, when you spoke to her in the afternoon, she'd just gotten on with her day. And kids are so resilient and so able to do that, and we're still sitting in this little bubble of worry.
Yes, definitely.
Forgetting how capable they actually are.
Yeah, yes, yeah, that is 100% it, Stace. And like, you can be as prepared as you possibly can be. It's just, I think you just need to experience, and it's a huge thing out here. Everyone, a lot of parents send kids to boarding school, so it's not just me in this boat, but it's definitely challenging, and it's hard being away from them. It's sort of your whole family dynamic changes when sort of you're used to having 6 at the dinner table every night, and then 10 weeks at a time you've got 5. So it's a hard thing to get used to.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes motherhood's just a series of us having to learn how to let go,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
different versions of them, but also
yeah.
physically when they go off to boarding school, when they move away. And I honestly think that we take it a lot harder than what they do.
I definitely agree. It is harder on parents than it is them as well. And like you
Mm.
said, she has great days. Like it's just that one moment in the morning, and then yeah, she gets on with her day and she's perfectly fine, and tells me in the afternoons, well, yeah, what a great day she's had. So yeah,
Mm.
it's just you just have to deal with it, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to take with it, don't you? It's just
Yeah,
it
definitely.
just comes with the territory of sending your
Yep.
kids to boarding school.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kerryn, I think when you talk about kids and motherhood, there's obviously been a lot that's shaped your journey as a mum. I think that no one gets handed a manual. When you become
Yes.
a mum, you can prepare for the birth and you can buy all the things, but you can't prepare for the moments that change your whole family and your whole life. And I know one of those moments for you was when Em was born and you discovered she had hearing loss. If you're comfortable going there, I'd love to take you back to those early days, or for you to take us back to those early days, because I imagine becoming a mum for the first time and navigating something so unexpected would have changed everything.
Yes, Ace. Oh, I'm more than happy to talk about it. And feels like a lifetime ago now, but it really wasn't that long ago. So Em was
Mm.
born in December 2012 at Longreach Hospital, and I had a completely normal pregnancy. I was working full time right up to having her, and I had a complete normal birth. Everything was fine. We stayed in hospital for a day and a night, and then we were about to go home, and they had to do the newborn hearing screening test, which must say is a program I'm so grateful and a huge supporter of, because they picked up her hearing loss, and I don't think I would have noticed being a first time mum.
Mm.
So she got a recall on both ears just before we were going to take her home. So I wasn't worried. The nurses weren't worried. They just said, "I'll bring her back in a week and we'll do it again. Sure, everything will be fine." So yeah, we packed up and we took her back to Aramac for the first time, and it didn't really concern Sam or I at that stage. And we took her back. Well, I took her back a week later to Longreach, back up to maternity, and they did the hearing screening again, and it came back exactly the same result, recall on both ears. And sort of from then on is, I think, where our lives changed really forever, because it was a huge journey then getting her through so many different tests, trying to work out why this happened, what to do from here. It was December, so it was just before Christmas, but we were able to see an audiologist in Brisbane just before Christmas of that year. So she was a couple of weeks old by that stage. And they were quite amazing. They were able to, do proper tests there. And it came back as a result that she had a profound loss in the left ear and then a moderate to severe loss in the right ear. And I guess I had never had any experience even dealing with someone with a hearing loss. We had no family history of this. Working as a nurse, I even really hadn't had a great deal of experience with it. So it was completely new. And living in a rural area, I did feel like there was no one around to ask questions. Like maternity in Longreach were fantastic through pregnancy, birth, and everything, but afterwards, through that hearing loss journey, there was no one around really that, could offer advice or a reassurance or anything, which I think was badly needed at the time, because I was sort of falling apart, but trying to stay strong for Em.
Mm.
But yeah, we got there in the end, and she was fitted with hearing aids at 4 months of age. That was in Brisbane. And we sort of went from there, Stace. But those first few months, it was just, I think, just the shock of it all. It did take a little while to sink in, especially when we weren't expecting it with, like I said, with no family history of that, or,
Yeah.
all blood tests, everything was completely normal through my pregnancy.
Mm.
So, that was probably the hardest thing, I think, just adjusting to it. And once we had a bit of a plan, I think things got a little bit easier. Um,
Yeah.
but just a
Mm.
shock, that's all, at the time.
Yeah. And I think that it would have been such a huge thing to carry. I just think about the weight of carrying that. But when you look back of that at that version of yourself, that brand new mum trying to navigate all of that, what do you feel for her?
Oh, like I, that's a hard question, Stace. So when it all happened, I just immediately thought, like I was thinking of myself, I was thinking of Emily, thinking, oh my gosh, is she going to have to go to a special school? Is she going to have learning issues? Am I ever going to stay in Aramac? How are we going to manage all of the costs involved with traveling all the time? But I wasn't thinking of me at all. I was more
Mm,
thinking of Em. Like I remember thinking, God, I wish I just give her my ears. I give her my good ears, and I will take hers, and I'll deal with it. I just don't want
yeah,
this little baby having to deal with it. But I guess she knew no difference. So she
yeah,
has never felt as if she's missed out on anything, or I don't believe she has anyway, because we got the hearing aids as soon as we possibly could, which I think early intervention is just such a huge thing with hearing loss, especially with babies, which is why,
mm,
that's why I mentioned that newborn hearing screening test is so important and such a great program to have, because it would have been months and months, I think, before I even noticed anything was wrong with her ears. Being a first time mum, I think that would have been something very hard to pick up on. But
yeah.
yeah, we got the cochlear implant sorted and got a speech
Mm.
therapy sorted, and we sort of knew what we had to do and what we were dealing with, and then we were right, I think.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of became an advocate for her even before you had time to process becoming a mum, you know?
Yes, yes. It was
Yeah.
sort of, yeah, like I was thrown into it, I guess. But it's some things that happen, and I guess there's nothing that could have been done to prevent it either. So yeah, just moving forward was really our only option.
Yeah. And I think something quite powerful in that and hearing your perspective of going through the hearing loss journey is from being a rural woman, and then all of the extra thoughts that went through your head of the travel and the schools that might not be available for Em, and even like the support that you maybe didn't have in the start, it just completely changes depending on where you live.
Yes, definitely. Um, yeah, like we used to travel to Brisbane for all of our appointments, and like there was so much support available there. But when you look to a rural area for something like that with like a new baby born with a hearing loss, there was pretty much absolutely nothing, and you had to go looking for it. Like it would have been registered on um, so many platforms that would have come up that she had a hearing loss, but you did have to go looking for that support, and it was very, very hard to find.
Yeah.
um, the Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children in Sydney were a great support early on, but they were so far away, and we did go down there once, which was fantastic, and then we moved to the Hear and Say Centre in Brisbane after that, and they were a wonderful support. But yeah, I think
Mm.
it's those first 6 months where we did have nothing was probably the hardest. There is a huge gap in a rural area for something like that, definitely.
Yeah. Uh, and now M is 13, which blows my mind.
Yes, yes, I know.
Because I feel like these stories are like sometimes we get stuck on the hard parts, but then there's this whole other beautiful child, almost turning into a woman on the other side of it. And
Yes.
now when you look at the young woman that she's becoming, what do you feel most proud of?
Oh, I'm so proud of so many things. And looking back, when that little baby was born, I could not have imagined now back then what she would be like now. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have had a worry in the world back then.
Mm,
Because she is so resilient and she is so happy, and she will talk to anyone that wants to listen.
yeah,
And yeah, she loves the outdoors. She loves art. Sam considers her his best worker. Like she'll work all day. She'll drive tractors. She'll do anything.
yeah,
And having those cochlear implants has really it's shaped who she is, and it's given her the gift of sound.
yeah,
Um, and those surgeries were quite a big thing, I suppose. I think she was 20 months when she had her first cochlear implant surgery. And I suppose that was another new challenge, trying to get her to keep her cochlear implants on, because at that age they just get chucked everywhere. But we just had to stick with it. And then she had her second cochlear implant surgery when she was year 5. So she's had so she's a few years post that now. She's she hears absolutely everything. So it's beautiful, and she's ready to take on the world, which is great.
Yeah. And do you think when you look back 13 years ago compared to now, if you were to have a child with hearing loss in rural Queensland now, do you think that there's been changes over the time?
Yeah, I think there has. I think it's easier. I think it's much easier now to access some sort of assistance. Um, like, I guess social media is so much bigger now than what it was. You don't have to look very far,
Mm.
and peer support is a huge thing. Like talking to other mums or other parents with in a similar situation, or that were in a similar situation. Which I did through Hear and Say, it's very reassuring to speak to parents that have been where you were and see where their children are, and it gives you that sense that it's going to be okay. And I do
Yeah.
think now it's much easier to find that support and talk to other parents going through a similar thing.
Yeah, I love to hear that, because, progress is always so important. And when you can look back and go, yeah, definitely there's been progress in that area. It kind of, it just feels like we're moving forward in the right direction.
Yes, definitely,
Mm,
which is a huge thing, and it's really good to see. Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely needed, that's for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And I love hearing you talk about Em and how proud you guys both are of her. And I think what kind of stands out to me most when you talk about her and, the early years and how much you had to navigate, but there was also how much you learn about the importance of having the people around you, like you said, like the Hear and Say community and all of that. And I think that it comes through so strongly when you talk about your life now. And, there's an idea that none of us really are meant to do this alone, especially when we're living rurally and a community can look a little bit differently. So I'd love to talk about that part of your world.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so I think there's no way that even in the early years that Sam and I could have travelled so much and been there for so many appointments without the support of the Aramat community. And they've always been so amazing to us. And even through Hear and Say with our Loud Shirt Day events, the support from Aramak and the Central West community has been quite amazing. And we are so, so grateful for that. And we always will be. Um, I think that the Aramat community has played a huge part in where Emily is today. And I think having a close knit community like that it's a really beautiful thing to be a part of, and it's life changing as well, which is good. And we're so, so lucky to live where we do.
Yeah. I think we often throw around the phrase "it takes a village," but
Yes.
sometimes we don't stop and actually ask or look around and go, oh, "I couldn't have done this without this village that I have." Do you think that there was an actual moment where you thought, "I couldn't have done this without these women or these people in my life," or do you think it's just upon reflection where you can look at all the different times that they've shown up for you, for the little
Oh,
things, for
there's
the big things, for everything in
yeah,
between?
so many times. And I think as my kids have gotten older, I think maybe my village it's really shone, because, when you're in that baby stage, it's hard to hand off a baby and go and do something. Whereas now the kids they have sleepovers. My friends in town, I know that, if I can't get to be with them for some reason, well, my village will be there.
Mm.
If I can't get to a sports carnival, my girlfriends will be there screaming for my kids just as much as they would be for their own. So I'm incredibly lucky, and I just know that they would drop everything for me, and as I would for them, it's very comforting to know, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. And I think that that's one of the best lessons in life is that, through all the chapters that we go through, that we don't have to have everything figured out and we don't have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do anything alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. And it's okay. to not be okay sometimes. And you can look from the outside looking in, you can think, oh gosh, they must have that themselves so together. And people say that to me all the time. Oh, you've got everything under control so much all the time. But I think, no, I don't really. I don't really. I don't think anyone does. I have nothing in control most of the time. It just looks like I do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, we all work together, and yeah, it's a beautiful community, and we're very lucky to be here. That's for sure.
Yeah. Kerryn, you've spoken about navigating Emily's diagnosis and then advocating for what your family needed there and then. And then there was also another really big moment in your life where you had to trust yourself and you left a marriage
Yeah.
that you knew wasn't right for you. I know that that's not a small thing, especially when there's so many layers involved in the family, emotions and starting again. And if you are comfortable sharing, what gave you the courage to make that decision?
Oh, God, so I was in my early 20s when I was married for the first time, and so I was in my mid 20s, yeah, by the time I was separated. So I was still young enough to know that I had my whole life ahead of me. I could move on from this, but I think just making that choice to leave a marriage that is not, it's not right. You need to get out. And look, I probably should have done it earlier looking back, but that is just what happens. And, I'm so proud of myself for doing that now. And I think back then I was so worried about what people were going to think, what my parents going to think, what my family going to think. You're meant to be married, and stick with that. But if something's not working, you really got to think of your own well-being and your own happiness. And, you're the only one that can change that. So
Yeah, I assume that so many women in your position would stay stuck in the space because,
yeah.
maybe it will get better or with thoughts of what other people will think of them. So what was the hardest part of trusting yourself?
Oh, I think the hardest part really was thinking about what everyone else would think. And I just
Mm,
had to get that out of my head. Like, I just had to, I remember saying to myself, this is about you. You need to do what's best for yourself. Like, there was no children involved or anything like that. So I'm probably pretty lucky that I was able just to pack up and take what I wanted, and yeah, and move
mm,
on with my life. So, I was able to move forward without even looking back. So I was only looking forward at that stage. And
yeah.
yeah, I think that a lot, and it happens to so many people, like, they do stay in that marriage early on when, yeah, they know it's not right. So it's just so important to know that
Mm,
there is support out there. And you may think that these people are, looking at you thinking, oh no, it's a terrible thing to get divorced, but it's not. And I realized that. I realized I had the support from my parents, I had the
mm.
support from my friends, and I was able to move forward.
Yeah, we often forget about the flip side of the thoughts of people instead of you should be in a marriage and all of that, or instead of the thoughts that maybe they're like, wow, good on her, she's so brave for doing that, or she trusted herself, and that's a huge step to take. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
often forget about that side of people's thoughts as well. When we think about what people think of us, we often think of the negative things instead of the positive things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And
I think
it's so common too, Stace. Just a common
yeah.
way to think.
Yeah. I think that version of you would be so proud of the woman who made that decision and that's sitting here today. And I know that that's such a very personal part of your story, but I do think that there's so much strength in being honest about the chapters. So thank you for sharing that.
No, that's okay.
We're going to switch gears a little bit because there's one thing that really stands out to me through everything that you've shared. You've had so many different versions of yourself, and you're still so young, but you've been through motherhood and big life changes, and you've rebuilt, you run businesses, but there's always this part of you that's always been there, and that's your love for nursing. I'd love to talk about that part of you for a moment. What did
Yes.
nursing give you?
Oh gosh, Stace. So I finished grade 12, and then I took 2 years off because I finished grade 12, and I knew I wanted to be a nurse back then when I was 17, but I needed to have a break from the study and the repetition of being told what to do and all that. So yeah, I got my nursing degree, and I came out of that thinking, oh wow, I love this job. And for so many reasons, I think the main reason is because I love helping people, and I love being there when they need someone the most, and they need someone, that's kind and reassuring and is with them. And I love a job that you never see the same thing every day. It's always something different, and you're always learning. And you get to work with some amazing people. And I think just thinking back on it now, it's a beautiful career to have. And I think, like, I had big plans to go back to nursing after Emily was born, but then the whole hearing loss thing, it sort of, that was another wave of challenges that came through. I never got back there because it was so much traveling and that with her in that first couple of years. But my initial plan was to only take a little bit of time off with them and then go back to it. And then the other children have come along, and it's sort of just, time has flown, and I haven't actually managed to get back to it yet. But it's something I'm extremely passionate about, and I do think about it often. And I do hope one day that I can get back to nursing, and I'm sure I will. It's just just the timing and the distance needed to travel, and it's
The
we'll
logistics
get
of it
there.
all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I can hear how much of that part of you still lights up when you talk about it. Do you reckon that since becoming a mum, that would change the way that you would show up as a nurse now, if you were to go back to it now?
I think so, because like I was childless for my whole nursing career, and so I was late 20s when I had Em. So I think it would make a huge difference.
I
I think
imagine,
so.
Going through your own experiences, especially with
Yeah,
Emily, you
definitely.
would change the way that you understand people sitting in those vulnerable moments. It might not be the
Yes,
exact same thing, but, you could kind of relate to a lot of it now. And I guess that
definitely.
comes back to lived experience as well too, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's only for the better. Like, being a mum and being through or everything that I've been through, I do think that it's only a positive thing that could come out of going back to nursing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually I think that's so beautiful. After everything that life's thrown at you, there's still parts of yourself that you still desire for more, and that passion that you have for that.
Yeah, so I don't think it's ever going to go away, Stace. I just think that it's something that I've always been so passionate about, and I do miss it dearly. Not that I don't love my life at the moment. I do miss it a lot, and I miss the learning side of it and getting to work with amazing people. It's
Yeah.
very special career.
And I think it's a really good reminder, again, that we don't just have to be one thing. You can be a mom, you can have dreams, and you can miss parts of yourself from before, and you can still
Definitely.
create something completely new along the way,
Yes,
And
that's perfectly said, Stace. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I think that that's something that you have just done so beautifully. You've built this really full life around your family, the property, your businesses, studying bookkeeping, your community, and then you also own a coffee van. I feel like I need a
Oh,
coffee just listening to
oh
everything.
gosh. The coffee van, holy moly, that's been another journey in itself.
Tell me about this season of life
Oh,
and, all of
so
the things you've got happening.
look, it was a bit of a spur of the moment thing. I said to Sam, so I'm 40 now, 41 now. I was about 35, and I said to Sam, oh, gee, I'd love to own a coffee van one day. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, like I could bake, and I love coffee. Not that I've ever made coffee before at this stage. But I said I could like bake stuff and sell it. And he's like, okay, well, let's aim to do this before you're 40. Anyway, last year was a few months before I turned 40, and I wasn't even really looking, but a coffee van came up for sale in Longreach. So Sam sort of said, well, you're nearly 40. I think you should do this. So my mum and dad bought it for me, which was, such a special thing for them to do. And they knew that I was passionate about it, and not that I thought a huge deal about it, but I I really wanted it. So, yeah, so I bought the coffee van. It was fully fitted out, so I didn't have to do anything to it, which was great. And, yeah, it's been a whirlwind 12 months. So, it's just come 12 months now since opening the doors. And
Yeah.
there is a huge need for a coffee van in a rural area.
Mm,
Like there's such a shortage of them, and there is enough work for quite a few of them, really. Yeah, in the Central West area.
yeah.
So yeah, and I love talking to people. And I love getting out there. It's a really, really cool little business, I think.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that you say that there's such a need. I live up here in Townsville, and there's a coffee van on almost, well, not almost every corner, but I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment to try and find Townsville's best coffee.
Yes.
So it's just so and every place you go is busy or has really good reviews or so
Yes.
and it's such an individual choice as well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But
Yes. And everyone
yeah.
loves coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if it's not coffee, then there's hot chocolates, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Oh gosh. And ice chocolates. Kids
Yeah,
just love ice chocolates.
yeah,
Especially out here, like I do it for the locals, but the tourists are a huge support as well. But I just get amazing support wherever I go, and like I do sort of stick to Aramac for events, and I do travel quite a bit as well. But yeah, just the Aramac community are always a huge support, and it's still a bit of a novelty. I think I'm just I
mm,
turn up and everyone's talking about it that morning, and it's really, really lovely, and just makes me so happy to be doing it. And yeah,
yeah.
and the tourists just love it too, so they're fantastic.
Yeah, and because there's not many options to go and get a coffee out there either, so it's
No.
nice to be able to wake up and go and get a coffee before
Yep.
work or whatever you're doing for the day. But then not just that, get to see your smiling face on the other side of
Yes.
it, and have a
Oh,
good chat.
yes, and I love chatting, and yes.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a really good thing. So yeah, hoping to keep
I
going with
love
that for a
that.
bit longer.
I love that, and I'm glad that it's working out for you.
Yes, yes, me too.
Yeah.
Because it was a bit worrying at the start. I
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was doing, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I had great help from the person that I bought it off was very helpful, and yeah, big
Mm,
support from friends as well, which is great.
I love that. I think that people often have an idea of rural life kind of being quite quiet and slow, but after talking to you, I'm pretty sure your version is anything but.
Oh my gosh, no, it's oh, it's chaotic and it's busy, and oh gosh, it's definitely not slow, Stace, that's for sure.
But you're beaming too, like you're not like, I mean, and this is what we kind of touched on earlier on of, it kind of looks like you've got it all together from the outside, but I can feel a lightness in you. Like with everything that you do, it doesn't sound heavy. You're doing things that light you up.
Yeah, definitely. And I've never felt so at peace with my life as
Mm.
ever before as I am right now. I think, and I'm not quite sure why. I just don't know if I'm just doing things that I want to do, and I have great support. I think that's why it is. I think that's why I'm so at peace with everything now, because I'm happy what I'm doing.
Yeah. Do you think that you've always been someone who likes to have lots happening?
Well, I think so, but it was really hard when the kids were little, which
Mm.
I'm sure you would know. Everyone knows that it is really hard. And you think back then, oh, I'm never going to be able to do everything ever again. But it does get easier. As kids get older, you can really, really spend, more time doing what you want to do.
The things that light you up. And I think that
Yeah, definitely.
it's such a beautiful reflection of where you are. When you talk about all these different pieces of your life, it sounds like you have built something that feels very much like you.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we don't realize how much we've changed or we've taken this path that has kind of led us to where we are now. Do you think that the Kerryn from 10, 15, 20 years ago would even recognize the woman that you are today?
No, I don't think so at all. No, I don't believe so. And if I could tell her back then, I would say it's going to be okay. You're going to be perfectly fine. You're not even going to
Mm,
believe now what's going to happen, but it's okay. And
yeah.
yeah, because it is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just about to ask that. I was going to ask if you could sit down with your younger self, before all the things you know now, what would you want her to hear? But I think you answered that
Yes,
perfectly.
not that I probably would have listened back then. I didn't really, like we do in our 20s, we don't listen to anyone. We just do what we want. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would tell her that it's going to be okay and to trust your gut and
Mm,
yeah, follow your instincts and yeah, it's going to be okay.
yeah. I love that. Before we do finish today, Kerryn, I always get to ask every guest this, and I just think it's a beautiful moment for you to have a look back on your life, but then also be able to share a bit of your wisdom with the women listening. So if there is a woman listening today who feels like she's struggling or, going through the phases or, maybe not trusting where she's going or thinks that everyone else has it together and she doesn't, what would you want her to know?
Oh, there is always someone there for you. And it makes me really sad to think that there is women out there that feel alone. And I have my door is always open to absolutely anyone that is struggling. I just feel as though no one should ever feel that way, especially living in a rural area, because it is hard. Um, but if you are struggling, you need to reach out. And that's the hardest thing. Once you've made that decision and you've made your choice that you need help and you ask for help and you will get it, I promise that. And like I said, if my door is always open, if I could help anyone I possibly could, I would. It wouldn't matter who you are. And even just sitting down with a coffee with someone can change their day for the
Yeah.
best. Definitely.
Yeah. I agree. And I love that you've said that, because I know that a lot of women probably know that there's doors open, but it's just taking that first step and being able
Yeah.
to reach out and whatever it is, whether we relate to it or we don't, there's still space for you to be able to talk and, like you, there are so many doors that are open for women
Yes,
to go to.
definitely.
So I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
it's very isolating at times. And yeah, like you said, it's hard making that first step and admitting that you are struggling because you think everyone else isn't, but really they are. So it's okay. You're not alone.
Yeah. 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 A lot of there's a lot of people that can just portray it a little bit differently, but it all comes back to perspective too, doesn't it?
Yep.
It's the way that you perceive that, oh my God, Kerryn's got it all together, but quietly
Yep.
you're like, holy shit, how am I
No,
doing this?
yeah, and that's what it is. It's like most days, it's holy shit, what's going on? Why is this
Yeah.
happening?
No, I love that. And I also get to ask this is one of my favorite questions to ask is who is a woman that you know that deserves to be seen, celebrated or heard?
Oh, this is so hard, Stace, because I have the amazing support of so many people. Like my little sister's amazing. I have beautiful neighbours who I know are there for me no matter what. But there's three girls, Megan, Alison, and Tanya, who they're my village. They are the three that I was talking about earlier that would drop anything for me. And their love and commitment to their families and our community is just absolutely amazing. And I'm so lucky to have those three girls in my life. And yeah, it's just we're basically raising our families together. So it's really
Yeah.
lovely to be a part of.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you four have that connection and support. And like you said, you would be there cheering on their kids at sport
Yes.
carnivals just as
Yeah.
much as they would be cheering on your kids.
Yeah.
And it's, the shared pickups or just being able to jump in and say, I'm having a really shit day or whatever it is in a
Yes.
messenger chat. And I love that you have that connection with those three other women.
Definitely. And they're so non-judgmental and so accepting and like the four of us we're very different people, yet we still just seem to have this amazing connection. Our kids connect us, yes, because they're all the same age and it's very lucky to have them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's it's so special to be able to have that relationship with not only one other beautiful woman, but three other beautiful women that,
Yes. Yeah.
how special is that?
Yep. Our group chat goes off every day. So, yeah.
I love that. Kerryn, thank you so much for sharing your story today. I think what you've shared is such a beautiful reminder that behind every woman, there are chapters that people don't always see. There's the hard days, there's the rebuilding, there's the support systems that many people don't see behind closed doors also, and the women that help carry us and all the people around us that people don't necessarily see. I know when I reached out, you said you don't really love talking about yourself, but I hope that you can see why I wanted you here, because the way that you show up for your family and your community and the women around you is just absolutely worth celebrating. So thank you for reminding us that none of us have to do this alone. Thank you for being here, Kerryn.
Oh, thank you, Stace. Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on today's conversation with one of the women we know. If something in today's episode resonated with you, I'd love if you shared it with a woman in your life who might love it too. And don't forget to follow along so you never miss a conversation. And if there's a woman in your life that you know has a story worth sharing, I would love for you to nominate her at The Women We Know on Instagram or Facebook. Or shoot me an email at thewomenweknowpodcast@gmail.com. There's a dot in between each of the words, the.women.we.know.podcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and being part of this community that celebrates her story, her resilience, her honesty, her triumph, her challenges, her life. We celebrate her.